YouTube now as a first time mummy, so I thought I'd use YouTube as a, don't know really, sort of like vlogging my experience as a first time mum. So yeah, I haven't actually done YouTube in years. I think it was about 4 years ago, so a lot has happened during then. Obviously I split up with my ex, got into a new relationship, a healthy one as well, and I've had my little boy, so everything is looking up, which I'm very pleased about. If I suddenly disappear, it's because George has woken up. Yeah, I just basically wanted to like share my experiences being a first time mum. I think with this video it's going to be a like my birthing experience, kind of like where I've been sort of video, but we'll see how this goes. I thought I heard him wake up then. So yeah, George is 2 weeks old. He was 2 weeks old on Wednesday. George was born on the 26th of February, which is very special to me because it would have been my granddad's birthday on the 26th of February. So that's really special to me that he came on that day. But he is also named after his other great-grandfather on my partner's side, because his granddad's name was George and we wanted to honour him by naming our child George. Can I say, he's just such a little cutie. I know that's me being biased, but he is such a little cutie. So with my birthing experience, with my heart condition as well, I basically had to be 2 weeks before my due date was to be induced, just so they can monitor me and the baby to see how I cope and how he copes. Basically the whole birthing plan was for me to have an epidural after I'd been induced, have an epidural and do it naturally. Obviously that didn't go to plan. So we went in on the 24th of February, that was my induced date. I got induced on the Monday and nothing happened. I then started getting some tightenings, and then the next day I got induced a second time, and again that just wasn't working at all. By the end of it I was 2 centimeters dilated and that was it. But the tightenings were getting really bad, and I wasn't even in labour at all. So on the Tuesday evening, the midwives that were checking on me and George whilst he was in my belly noticed that every time I got a tightening his heart dropped, which was pretty scary. So they then decided that they would either induce me a third time and do the epidural and do it naturally, or have a cesarean. So I was very iffy about a cesarean, because obviously that's not what I wanted. But my mindset was to do whatever to help me and the baby, to make it easier basically for both of us. So I was a bit sort of like, don't know, I was given time to have a think about it, because they were worried and we were worried that if we did it the way my birthing plan was, to have the epidural and do it naturally, we were worried that he wasn't going to cope and I wasn't going to cope, and I was going to have a C-section anyway. So at the end, it was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, that I decided, no, we'll go ahead with the C-section. We'll go and have that, because I'd rather give birth safely than something to happen. So me and my partner discussed it, and we found it was safer to just do a cesarean. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it at that time because none of my cardiac team were around. So it was safer for me to have a cesarean when my cardiac team was around. So we obviously finally slept, and then about 1 o'clock, about 1 o'clock around that time, we were then escorted into theatre, and my partner came with me, and basically getting it all ready. I had the epidural and the spinal epidural as well, which wasn't too bad. That was the main thing I was worried about, but it wasn't too bad because I've got a massive needle phobia, so I was stressing a lot about that, but it actually wasn't too bad. So they did the whole epidural, they led me down, and they put the cover up and they started doing it, but something didn't feel right. Disclaimer, I'm not putting anyone off cesareans or anything like that. I would happily have a cesarean again. I would so happily have a cesarean again. But obviously when they were trying to get him out during the cesarean, I felt a lot of pressure and it was quite painful. In the end, I couldn't cope with it. I found it too uncomfortable. So in the end, the team that was looking after me turned around to me and said, we're gonna have to put you to sleep. So I was a bit like, that's fine, that is fine. Unfortunately, my partner did have to leave because they had to put me to sleep and everything, because what they think is that the epidural and the spinal block weren't put in properly, because I could still feel what was going on when normally you shouldn't. So they put me to sleep, and obviously I was asleep, so I don't really know what was happening. And then obviously whilst I was recovering and waking up, George was escorted to my partner, and I was in recovery for a bit, and then completely high off my head with anaesthetic. I got wheeled into our room, and there he was in his daddy's arms, which I couldn't believe. Sorry, as you can tell, I get a bit emotional talking about it because it was a very special day. Because obviously with my heart problem, I got told that it would be impossible for me to have children, and then all of a sudden I have little George. So it's happy talking about it, but it's also quite still in shock, still in like, this can't be real. Yeah, it was an uncomfortable experience, but so worth it. It really was so worth it. And like I said, I'm not trying to put anyone off or anything like that. I would happily have another cesarean again. My team, the midwives, the cardiac team were absolutely amazing. Like, they checked on me all the time, checked on George all the time to make sure he was okay and I was okay. It was just, yeah, it was a really good experience. So obviously after he was born, we then got moved to the give me 2 seconds. Okay, George is now changed, fed and settled back to sleep. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so they then transferred us into the normal ward, as they called it, after I gave birth to George. And yeah, that was an experience. Obviously it was like the first couple of nights. We were in there for about 2 days, but unfortunately my other half couldn't stay with me, so he had to drive home and then come back. It wasn't 2 days, sorry, it was only a day. They were going to discharge us on the same day, but obviously they wanted to keep us in for monitoring, make sure he was okay, make sure I was okay. They were actually quite surprised with how well I was recovering from having a C-section, because I was up and about making sure George was alright, changing him, feeding him, just having a little wander through the ward as well, to like basically just walk around. It was uncomfortable at first. Yeah, it was uncomfortable at first, but over time it seems to be alright. I mean, now, like 2 weeks later after having a cesarean, I'm going out for walks with him in the pram. I'm doing a lot of stuff at the minute. Obviously I'm being very careful. I'm not bending down or lifting anything. The only thing I'm lifting is obviously George when he needs feeding and changing and settling down. Apart from that, I am taking it easy, but still doing normal housework and everything like that. But yeah, so obviously the next day, that evening was quite hard, because obviously that I was on my own. I didn't have my partner, and George did not want to settle that night at all. He was being a little rascal for me. I did have a little bit of a breakdown at first, and one of the midwives saw that I was having a bit of a moment, and she was so good. She literally turned around to me and was like, let me take care of him for a minute, see if I can settle him down and you get some rest. Basically, because I literally only just had a cesarean and I was absolutely knackered, and she just saw that I just couldn't settle him, and she was so good. She taught me tips and tricks and everything as well. She was just so lovely, so lovely. And every time George woke up in the hospital, she came over and she was a bit like, no, don't worry, I've got him. You need to rest up. You need to rest. You've just had a major operation. You need to rest. But she was so lovely. So a big, massive thank you to her. And then the next day, obviously, I had my blood pressure taken. I had my injections, which were for blood thinning injections. I had those in the morning. And George had his hearing test done and his little health checks as well. And then after that, we were discharged from hospital and went home as a family of 3. You have no idea how much I just wanted to like take him home. Like, I was so, like, I had enough at that point in the hospital. For one, the bed wasn't that comfy, so my butt was very severely like numb from that bed, and I just really wanted to get home. I felt fine. I just wanted us to go home as a family of 3 and then experience it actually properly. So when we took him home, it was the first night, and of course George isn't used to the flat or the sounds or smells or anything like that, so it was a very, very hard first night. Sorry, I'm currently sitting on the floor so I have to like rearrange my position because my bum keeps going numb or my legs are going dead. It was a very hard first night. George just would not settle. We were feeding him, changing him, and of course it was new for us as well because we're first time parents, so of course we're still learning what his cries mean and what he needs and everything, so it was very, very hard, but we worked it as a team and we finally got him settled at about 6:30 in the morning. And then the next day we literally didn't wake up until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously in between then George woke up at about, what was it, about 9 o'clock. He woke up. My other half actually got up and fed him, changed him, and then settled him back down. My partner's been amazing. Like, he's been looking after us so much. He only had 2 weeks off from work for paternity leave, so that was amazing. I mean, the first week of his paternity leave we were in hospital, and then the second week he was like, I'm gonna do the night shifts, I want you to rest up and recover and everything. So he was absolutely amazing. He really was amazing. From that first night and now, George is settling in really, really nicely. He's actually sleeping well, sleeping through the night. He wakes up every now and then for a feed or a change, and we're kind of getting used to it now, which is really good, because I was really scared that we weren't gonna like get used to it at all. But no, we're actually doing all right. Obviously George has his first bath on Monday after his umbilical cord had fallen off. He was a bit unsure at first, and then absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, he's just been absolutely amazing. Another thing I have literally recently just found out, I found this out yesterday, that helps him settle, is the Hoover. So of course I will insert a clip of that in a minute. I was basically doing the housework because we had some visitors coming yesterday. I meant today, we had visitors coming today, so I was basically making sure the house was clean and tidy for them, and I had the Hoover going. I basically wanted to do the hoovering whilst he was awake because I was scared I was going to wake him up, especially with how long it takes me to settle him down to sleep. And all of a sudden I looked up and he was passed out asleep in his beanbag. And I was like, how? But then I realised that it's white noise, and white noise does wonders for babies. Like, he will sleep during the night when I play a YouTube video of a Hoover, Hoover sound, and he'll literally just pass out, which is amazing. Like, I wish I found that out sooner. He absolutely loves the sound of the Hoover. He just falls asleep. Anyway, that's my birthing experience. Thought I'd do these as like video diaries of him growing up, and yeah, basically, and reconnect with you all as well. So yeah, I will be uploading videos when I can. I know it says in my bio every like Thursday and Sunday, but obviously if I get a bit busier or anything like that, then I will upload them when I can. So yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a bit of a chatty video but I thought I'd update you guys on where I've been, and my birthing experience and how George is doing and updates and all that. So I really hope you come along and enjoy this journey with me as a first time mum to George. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.